All right, so I know that with some of my classes, we did not get all the way through the digestive system notes that I wanted to, and that there were some people that didn't necessarily get to write down everything if you were here, or there were people that were missing. So I just wanted to make sure that we all have the same information for the digestive system. So previously we were talking about the anatomy of the digestive system, which was purely just what the various pieces are. And now we're moving on to physiology, which is how various parts and pieces work and function together. So previously we'd learned about our mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine being the primary organs of the digestive system. And as you can see on our diagram down here, we also have a couple of others, specifically the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the liver. And each one of these will release some sort of digestive enzyme into the small intestine down here, which is going to aid with that digestion, but we don't specifically need to know about this for this part. So when we're looking up here in the mouth, we are looking at teeth and saliva that are helping to physically break things down. Now, you need both of those. You need the teeth to actually grind it down. And keep in mind, you're using skeletal muscles here, and we know that they're skeletal muscles because you can consciously move them. So the chewing motion is going to be physical digestion. But we can't just do that. We also need saliva that's going to moisten the food to help it actually go down your esophagus. Think about what happens when you eat too many saltine crackers. It gets really, really hard to swallow because you don't have enough saliva there. So as food exits the mouth, it's going to go into the esophagus. And the esophagus is responsible for transporting food from the mouth through to the stomach. Now, our esophagus is going to be longer than the trachea because the esophagus has to make it all the way up here from the mouth, all the way down here to our stomach, which we can see kind of hiding behind our liver. Our trachea starts in the same place, but it's just going right here to where the lungs are. So the trachea doesn't have to be as long as the esophagus. Now, that motion of food transportation requires both skeletal and smooth muscles. The initial swallowing motion is skeletal muscle. That is absolutely what it uses. You can manually control that. So that's getting it from here to about down here. Now, once it's in this larger trachea portion, then we're moving on to smooth muscles. You cannot control that. That is going to happen whether you like it or not. And this smooth muscle movement, so kind of the movement from our esophagus about here down, is going to be called peristalsis. So it has a special name. Now, once we get into our stomach, we are further breaking food down, and our stomach is kind of sitting off here to the right side a little bit. We are once again breaking down food, and we're using two things to do this. The first thing that we're using is the stomach acid. Our stomach acid is made of primarily water and a mixture of hydrochloric acid. And this hydrochloric acid helps to break down and just further dissolve into the solid foods into a more liquid structure. And you also are doing some stomach churning. And once again, that digestion, that churning is going to be smooth muscle. When it exits the stomach, it's going to go into our large intestine. And our large and small intestine are really where digestion ends, that breakdown ends, and the absorption section starts. So your small intestine is the longest part, part of your intestinal tract, and this is where almost all of your nutrient absorption happens. Remember when we were going over the anatomy section of this, we noted that the small intestine was about 4 times your height. And it is able to fit in there because it has all of these folds that you can see in there. Now, our large intestine is shorter. Our large intestine is just this section right here, and it wraps around your small intestine. But you can see that it's much wider, and that's because everything in our small intestine is going to be liquids. The large intestine is responsible for removing the liquid portion and leaving just solid waste before it can leave your body. So that's kind of your digestive system notes. Make sure that you have all of these caught up in your notebook. Awesome. Thanks, guys.